wealth of this world isn't in the ground, it's all around us. The Na'vi know that, and they are fighting to defend it. If you want to share this world with them, you need to understand them.
You know, they never even wanted us to succeed. They bulldozed a sacred site on purpose to trigger a response. They're just fabricating this war to get what they want.
Can't believe that. That's how they do it. When people are sitting on shit you want, you make them your enemy. And then you justify it in taking it.
In order to fight a war legitimately, you have to keep the morale high. It means one side has to know that they're fighting on the side of God and truth and what's right. Once one side or the other becomes aware that they have no backing and purpose for what they're doing other than following orders, the morale drops. They don't want to fight no more. They don't want to kill for the orders of the slave leader. So they start to neglect their duties and obligations. You know, at some point, the power dynamic flipped after 9/11. If you look in the history of the Middle Eastern War, the troops started coming back telling everybody that it's bullshit like they always do. So the morale dropped. You're not going to ever be able to win a war over there now because we all know who's lying and who's not. It doesn't even matter who we align with and who we like culturally or societally. We know one side is doing war for profit. We know the other side's being invaded. And they're using certain means to get that done, certain ideologies and propaganda to get that done. But anything that you can come up with that's come from the mind of man can be defeated by the mind of man. A minimalist force can have a maximum effect if they understand the lay of the land, the psychology of human beings, and how to do asymmetrical warfare. You got folks who've been running through the mountains all their life. You ain't going to be able to do nothing with them. They're going to have the high ground. Every time you go up that mountain, they're going to be off to the next one. They're going to fight you guerrilla warfare style. You'll fight a 20-year war and get nowhere, just like they did with Afghanistan. They know the lay of the land. They can sit in a cave all day, every day while you're uncomfortable. They can use the minimalist amount of equipment to have the maximum effect. You'll never stop them. You'll never end that war till you leave. So you have to kill everybody or leave. And that's exactly the way they plan to continue to fight for a reason, because they know the alternative is slavery. We're not going to get slaved by a bunch of infidels who are going to genocide us. We'd rather fight to the last man, guerrilla warfare style, and do it from a spiritual perspective. They're fasting, they're eating minimal, they're praying when they're not fighting, and they're ready to die when you folks want to come play games. The Afghanis don't seem concerned. They can't be beaten yet. The Americans are losing money, they're losing equipment, they're losing morale, they're losing their minds. And the Afghanis just lit up another bowl of hash and just reloaded another RPK. What about the drones? What about this? What about that? What about it? Do you think the Afghanis give a fuck about drones? They're sitting there with 10 ounces of hash, thousands of rounds of ammo with guns from 40 years ago, and they're just waiting and wishing you fly a drone over and do something. They don't care. What else are they going to do except sit in a simulation with their family and farm and deal with a bunch of infidel slaves? What else is left? Wake up, dummies. True Islamics don't do war. They do war on you when you invade. The problem is you keep invading them and then crying when they go to war. Pretty simple. Don't invade them. They won't go to war. And let's be real. These beings are using the modern equivalent of bow and arrow, and you folks still can't get it done. I don't give a fuck if I'm an American and you got United States Corporation running all over. I say it's going to be me next. You're going to do to me what you're doing to them. Invade their communities, tell them they're the enemy, and start taking families out of the homes and looking for guns, weapons, and activity of terrorism. The same thing they did on Katrina. Does anyone remember? You think I'm going to side with a group that's terrorizing the world when they've already terrorized us? Absolutely not. All of life should be lived preparing to die. This is a spiritual, metaphysical / physical simulation arena. You're not a human, you're having a human experience, you're a spiritual being first, but you're here to use the body, not identify with it. If you ain't using the body to challenge and test and go past fears, you're fucked.